Mafia: The Old Country is finally upon us, with the latest installment of the crime saga playable on Xbox Series X and S, PS5, and PC. While previous entries threw players into sprawling cities at different crime periods, Hangar 13 is going back in time to 1900s Sicily, setting the action in San Celeste, where the Teresi family rules. As the latest initiate, Enzo Favara, players will work their way up the ranks and prove their worth to the Don. It's far from easy, because Enzo can't fall back on semi-automatics or tons of bullets to get the job done. There are other ways to overcome the opposition, but that's not all that Mafia: The Old Country has to offer in terms of features. Here are 10 tips and tricks to gain an advantage over the rival families and cement your legacy in San Celeste.
Get him out of there! Get rid of them!
Follow your instinct. Instinct mode will look very familiar to those who have played The Last of Us. It's essentially like listen mode, allowing Enzo to see enemy positions from cover, even if they're behind environmental obstacles. The range is pretty good and can come in handy in nearly all situations. However, it's especially vital when using stealth, especially in sections where sneaking is mandatory to navigate an area undetected. It's no detective mode by any stretch of the imagination, but it's more than enough to systematically dismantle any opponents in your way. Life or death combat, fewer bullets.
The boy is mine.
Hangar 13 wanted Mafia: The Old Country's combat to have a life or death vibe, as seen in the knife duels. A few wrong moves and Enzo may find himself on the wrong side of the pointy end. But this philosophy also extends to every single aspect of the game's combat. Resources like ammo are fairly scarce, and it's often essential to scavenge bullets from the environment and slain foes. Times such as these make stealth a strong alternative, allowing you to save ammo for more important firefights or when you've been made and there's no other option but to shoot your way out. If you're not a fan of mashing buttons for the knife struggles, head into the accessibility options and enable simplified struggle, which auto-completes these instances without much hassle. Even the odds. The life of a Teresi mafioso is incomplete without running in and gunning down foes, especially with the selection of firearms on offer. However, it's usually a good idea to scope out the situation first and maybe pick off a few enemies with stealth takedowns before going loud. That's because, compared to previous entries, enemies are a lot more resourceful in the Old Country, using better coordination and tactics to flush you out, even on normal difficulty. Always check your available resources before engaging in head-on battles, and see if there isn't a more intuitive way to tilt the odds in your favor. Alternatively, if you're feeling under or overwhelmed by the AI difficulty, drop it down to easy or raise it to hard for the ideal Mafia experience. Improve, adapt, overcome. Enzo can bring more than guns and knives to a mission. Examine the environment carefully for objects to throw and distract guards, making it that much easier to sneak up behind them. You should also keep an eye out for certain spots to hide their bodies. Lanterns may seem innocuous enough on their own, but you can also turn them into impromptu bombs, perfect for thinning out several enemies at a time. While you shouldn't rely on objects all the time, they can still provide an edge, especially if you're running low on ammo. Taking a stance. Depending on your approach, it may be a good idea to adjust the aim assist and camera field of view for a more comfortable experience. However, you can also customize Enzo's stance when taking cover in the gameplay settings, opting for a persistent crouch or the classic Mafia style to mimic the feel of the older titles. It's purely preference, so experiment with both and see which one works best. Knives out.
Just get back to work.
You're going to make me.
Seems that my friend is going to take it from here.
If that's how you want it. Too late to put away your blade and leave with those two.
Did we mention that knives are important? Beyond the development team pouring extensive amounts of time and research into nailing the designs, there are also multiple different types of knives to collect as you progress. Each has different stats and even some unique perks that may suit your playstyle better, like takedowns healing Enzo. If you're into throwing knives, then the Scottatori is a fantastic option. On the other hand, the Ruslo allows for one-hit killing enemies during active combat. If you can outflank your foes, it can be a great way to save ammo and paint the town red. Stiletto is the best in terms of durability, which makes it ideal for multiple purposes, or simply ensuring more stealth takedowns. You can only carry one knife at a time, so think carefully about how you want to approach a situation and which will be best. Durability and whetstones. Regardless of which you choose, each knife has durability that drops with every kill, takedown, and lockpicked. Knives with lower durability aren't at risk of breaking or anything like that, and they can still be used for melee attacks in a pinch. For everything else, it's best to keep a whetstone handy, that too in the quick use slot. You'll discover them throughout the world, and if you're someone who favors running around asking enemies if they're knifed to meet you, it can be a real lifesaver. Explore mode. Mafia Definitive Edition's free ride mode makes a comeback in the old country. Known as Explore mode, it becomes available once you complete the prologue and navigate to chapter replay. Of course, this isn't a massive open world game, and there isn't a heaping helping of side missions. However, you can still discover a thing or two, make time to complete the car collection, and take in the sights of San Celeste. You can also spend any extra money on hand to purchase new items and weapons. Again, it won't provide dozens of hours of entertainment, but you may happen upon a few secrets while exploring. Interestingly, Hangar 13 will expand on Explore mode in a free update post-launch, so stay tuned for more details on that front. Simulation driving, manual shifting, and more. The Mafia franchise is a far cry from Grand Theft Auto, but it certainly puts in the work towards making driving feel authentic. Case in point, the old country allows customizing the experience to your liking. A simulation driving toggle is available in the gameplay setting for those who really want to see how these vintage classics truly handle. Toggle manual shifting for extra realism, or navigation signage for, well, easier navigation if preferred. It's even possible to adjust the vehicle camera view distance. Fast forward travel. Remember the repetition of Mafia 3's open world and all the incessant driving? Mafia the Old Country offers a tighter experience, but more importantly, it also lets you skip rides. That's right, if you're just in it for the story and don't want to appreciate the environmental beauty of San Celeste, cut out the middleman, or driver. It's less immersive, sure, but still an ideal option. Hey, did you know that we at Gaming Bolt upload new videos every day? Stick around, drop a like, subscribe, and hit that bell. And let us know what kind of content you'd like to see in the future with a comment below.